You're ready to reinvent yourself, and you know this to be true because you feel it in your body so deeply. If this video is something you clicked on or were interested in any way, it's probably time for a reinvention. Now, reinvention typically comes up when you're so sick and tired of something happening over and over again. You're so sick and tired of your life as it is, or someone's treated you poorly, something horrible has just happened to you, maybe you just hit rock bottom in some way. That is typically when a reinvention happens, but it doesn't need to be during rock bottom. Anything can set off a reinvention, and you know when a reinvention is set off is when you feel an energy so strongly in you that you are ready for something different, you are ready for something more. I talk about things as I'm going through them. I have been through many reinventions, and I felt it just 2 days ago that I was ready for one more. So I want to talk to you about my experience and how I reinvent myself and how I'm reinventing myself this time, and how you can as well. The first and most important step is that when a reinvention is coming up, the energy is very strong and your emotions are very high. You might go through feeling extremely sad, just like you've given up, maybe a little bit depressed. You might go from that to feeling really angry, to feeling like, why are people treating me this way? Why is this my life? This was never supposed to be my life. A surge of emotions comes about right before you are ready for a reinvention because A, you need that energy to throw yourself into your reinvention, but also it's very important to take this time to be with your emotions and to kind of sit with them. I know sometimes we want to just hop right into the action step, and I'm huge on action. If you know what I talk about the action and the importance of it, but do not bypass the emotion. I know it can be so difficult to sit with the depression, the sadness. I'll give my own example. Recently, I had something happen to me where I felt like I was mistreated in a certain way, I wasn't treated right, and just the way I felt so confused, so saddened, and just so like, why is this my life? Why do people treat me this way? Why is this happening to me? Don't bypass that emotion. I firmly believe we can only go as high as we go deep, so go to the depth of feeling that. I promise you, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's actually exhilarating. It feels kind of good to feel that depth. I know it feels like, oh my gosh, if I feel that, will I be in that place forever? No, you won't, but you can only go as high as you go deep, so go deep with it. Feel what you need to feel. If there are tears, to cry them. If there's anger, to scream out, scream. If you need to go to boxing class, go to a boxing class, but really feel the intensity of your emotions. Do not dim it down. The last thing you want to do is dim down this emotion and make it nothing. It's not nothing. It's extremely powerful, and we will be using it, but really go deep with it. You might be hurting right now. Let yourself hurt. You might be angry. Let yourself be angry. The way this looks like for me is the first step is I get really sad. Woe is me, depressed, crying in bed, you know, that kind of thing. And then my next step, this is where I was at yesterday, is like, I think some people forgot who I am. I think they forgot who they're talking to right now, who they're dealing with. And then so it kind of turns into this stage of like this anger and enough is enough, and I'm gonna come back 10 times stronger. And the truth is, I'm bringing up an example of someone setting this off. It doesn't need to be a person setting it off. It might be a situation. It doesn't really matter what it is. The thing that sets you off has nothing to do with a situation or even that person. You were ready to begin with. You just needed this situation to really show you how ready you were for a next level. The next level is already waiting for you. It's waiting for you more than you're waiting for it, to be honest. So this is less about forcing yourself into something and more about letting this energy, you know, going with it and going with the intensity. The second most important thing I have it listed out here, okay, act quickly and act boldly. A huge leap and a huge reinvention does not come from these little baby steps of moving your life forward. No, we go big here. The emotion is big. This is not your everyday like self-improvement kind of thing. This is an intense situation, and it requires boldness, and it requires bravery, and it requires you to act quickly. Acting quickly is one of the most important things you can do. You can completely change your life by acting quickly. You want to shock your system with adding in a whole bunch of new stuff at once and changing a bunch of stuff at once. This is the shock that is a match for the reinvention energy. Do not go slowly here, go intensely and go boldly. Now I know this also might sound kind of stressful, like going boldly and going intensely does not mean you need to like run around with a chicken, like a chicken with its head cut off. You can do this, you know, in a surrendered place. You can do this in a place with ease, but it doesn't mean that you are not going bold and that you're not going big. You have to go bold and go big if you want to reinvent yourself. Doing things quickly and boldly also solidifies a new identity in you really quickly. Doing things slowly, as much as it sounds like a good idea, and that's what you do most of the year, right? You kind of like build upon what you already know. That's great. This is not that. This is a different time, and you have to let it be a different time. This is an intense time, and this is a very dramatic time, and you need to play into this because that is what your energy is asking for. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out distractions for a bit, and you're going to do this with decision making. So what is distracting you from your life right now? This really doesn't need to be anything big, but if there's people that you're hanging around that you feel in your heart might be a distraction, maybe commit to not seeing them for a month or two. If you are dating someone, that's great. Nothing fuels you like love. I think dating is an amazing thing, but if you are dating for a distraction, or you know that you have a period, or you have a habit of dating for distraction, cut it out for 3 months. There is something to making that decision that I will not date or focus, or any part of my energy will go towards that for 2 or 3 months. That's a decision that I made this time around. You might say, oh, I probably wouldn't meet anyone anyway, but there is something really powerful with make that decision. Don't let it be made for you. Make it. If you end up meeting the love of your life, you'll cross that bridge when you get there, but close yourself off. Close yourself off to it. You've got bigger things to do, and you've got a really exciting big life waiting for you, but it does require you to step in, and for you to step in intensely, you need to remove dumb little distractions that aren't helping you. I don't know what these are for you, but your mind probably just gave you 3 or 4, so go with those. Now, how do we reinvent ourselves? There are categories to this. I'm gonna just start naming some. Hair, skin, makeup if you're a girl, clothing, behavior, fitness, any sort of thing that you have been wanting to implement. This might be a great time to implement it. Any drastic move that you've been wanting to make, maybe with your home, with your decorating, with your design. I'm jumping into these categories really quickly, but to be fair, I'm in a reinvention period, so I'm actually gonna be diving deep each of these categories throughout the coming weeks because I'm in my reinvention period. So as I am cleaning out and doing these drastic things in each category, I will be going through it with you if you're interested. If not, do your own thing. What feels like the categories that will make a huge difference in your life. The only thing I will say here is do not discount the importance of your clothing and your appearance. This is huge for solidifying a new identity. I know it's really easy to bypass this, to go right into mindset stuff, to go right into reading books and, maybe learning spirituality, whatever. That stuff's amazing, but do not bypass the physical. Your room is important, your space is important, your clothing is important, your hair is important. This is huge, and this is something that I ignored for such a long time. I went right to the internal. Do not ignore the external. The external is just as important. Other categories might include your dreams, your goals, your social media accounts. Yep, if you're doing a rebrand, you gotta rebrand your social media. You want it to reflect you. Again, I'm gonna go deeper into all of these categories. I'm just naming out a bunch of stuff right now that are areas that you might wanna explore and that people don't always talk about re-upping when they're talking about reinvention. If you're reinventing yourself, reinvent your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever you're using. You gotta reinvent, and you gotta make sure it reflects where you're at now. Very important. Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna be diving into all of these much, much deeper because I'm in my reinvention era right now. So the energy is strong, it's very intense, and I'm going to be going in on these categories. So if you're interested, you can follow along. But yeah, just wishing you all the very best week, and I will see you very soon.